Everybody, welcome back to the Hyperspace Tube channel. Yodakiller here, and I'm just here to give you a little tournament report and a recap. We just had the Chicago Limited PQ. It's the largest limited PQ to date, and I was the top seed after 7 rounds of Swiss going into top cut. I just want to talk about a little bit about the tournament and my thoughts on sealed and tips for the Philly Limited sector that is coming up. So I do want to first start off talking about Galactic's championship. It was such a great time being in Vegas and being with the whole team, meeting a lot of my teammates from Europe for the first time in person. We talk all the time in Discord, but seeing them finally in person was just fantastic. It was great to meet so many people. And yeah, such a great time. Really proud of the team, how we all did. Yeah, so just I want to talk a little bit about my individual run. I ended up running Vader 4. Vader Geller, of course, had have to represent Victor Leader here. And I will say that I did get burned out by the game. It was 8 rounds just full of hate. Either Grogu, Force Throw, and Bombing Run. I ended up beating a Quinlan, beat a Townsend, and beat a Han 2 Blue. But all the games are very close, losing 2-1, all maybe about 2 actions short each time. And I think, a lot of the hate goes sideboard here. I was facing decks that had 3 bombing run minimum and like all this upgrade hate. So, and then all my Han opponents always had Grogu every single game. So it was just like, you need a little bit of luck to win these games, but at the same time, yeah, that kind of just like, it was fatigue for sure, an overload. And so that kind of like really put me on a break for the game, and I was kind of just very happy about the limited PQ because that's really the only thing that I have played since Galactics. I just took a little break, a mental break, because of the metagame. I just not a fan of it right now. So that's why I was just super happy for this sealed PQ. To start season 1 to qualify for the next Worlds next year. So it was like a nice fresh start, fresh format for it. I do want to talk a little bit about this process. So, for those of you who are going to Philly sector, or for those of you who have sealed PQs in the future coming up, just some things to be aware of. You're going to sit down, you're going to get your 6 packs, and then everyone's going to get a piece of paper like this. And you're just going to immediately just open your packs. You're not even looking at the cards. You just put them all in a pile, and you write your name on the top, and then you just hand your stack of cards and this paper over to the person sitting across from you, and they will do the same with you. And from there, you're just going to put your name there where it says verifier, and you're going to put in the column where it says open, you're going to put all the cards in order by aspect and then alphabetically, and you're going to mark how many they open, marking 1 or 2 for 3, or how many copies they open. You're going to do that for every single card in the pack, even leaders and bases. Once that's done, you are going to give that back to your person sitting across from you, and then from there, once you get your stuff back, you're going to go ahead and double check everything to make sure everything's accurate. If there's a mistake, you can if they can fix it, then you kind of cross it out, or you can call the judge to get a new fresh piece of paper. Make sure everything is clear. Some tips there is make sure to like double check everything. I made an error on the person sitting across from me, and they made 2 errors on me. So like very important to just like make sure that you're accurate, because in case you get a deck check, the last thing you want is like a game loss or something being incorrect. So it's beneficial for everyone. I also want to say, like, be aware of deck building time and sleep. Like, you're gonna have appropriate time to like fill out the sheet, but then when you're deck building, just like always be aware of the clock. I think I had about like I haven't even sleeved, and I was still building. I had like 2 minutes left, and eventually like was able to just finish the deck, sleeve, um, mark it down here in the piece of paper what I'm playing in the column where it says play, and then from there you're like I was locked in. But like just to cut stress and time, try to do it as quick as you can, so that at least like once that time's up, like pairings was up, within a minute or two. So it kind of moves very quickly. So just make sure that you're moving at a pace. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about some notes and some etiquette, some things on sealed. Like what you register has to be what you play game one. So very be aware that like, the decisions that you make, you have to like play what you're gonna play there. Even if you made a mistake, I made a mistake by leaving a ship not in the main deck, and I had to bring it in every games two and three. And I really wish that was in my like main pool. So like, just make sure like when you're going to play your games, make sure you sideboard and make sure to play what's on the card, what's on the sheet. And that's why it's very important. They say, hey, when your deck, lay out your deck and then take a picture of it. That's very important. And from there, like when you're sideboarding, you're going to your next match, look at the picture and make sure that your main deck, your 30 cards, is like what it is in your camera, the picture that you took. I want to talk about like some things too. You can switch your base and leader games two and three. So you can completely like, I mean, if it happens, it happens, but like maybe the matchup is better if you just change your entire base and your entire leader and you switch the one aspect for another. You can do that for games two and three. Just be aware that you do have 3 minutes to sideboard, so make sure that's quick. If you do decide to do that, and might as well sleeve your entire deck at that point, just have it ready to like switch out, switch in. Which is why it's important to take a picture so you remember what you play first game every time, so what you locked in. If you locked in a deck with more than 30 cards, the ruling here was, and I asked the head judge there, they said that you can go to 30 cards for games two and three. So, like, one of my opponents had 33 cards to start game one, and he decided I'm going to go to 30 games two and three. So, it's different when you're playing Premier and Constructed because you can never go above, 10 cards in your sideboard. But since in sealed, your entire sideboard is the cards that you didn't use, so you're free reign to kind of move things around. So you just never go below 30. I would say the 30 is the minimum. Just something that to think about. I also want to say that like when you sideboard, you don't have to disclose how many cards you brought in. I think there was a topic that came up in one of my matches where someone was trying to like find out more information, and that's something that you do not have to disclose. One thing they can disclose is to say, hey, how many cards that is open knowledge, open information is how many cards in your deck. Like if they have to know like how many cards are left, that's something that you can ask. But I think, and this comes in my next topic, is like rule sharking, angle shooting just has no business in this game. Leave that stuff at home. I think there's a lot of previous games that people play where, they bring it into Star Wars Unlimited, which is a completely different game, and where you're taking actions. And I think it's like very important that you become very aware of when someone is using those tactics or wants to use those tactics and call a judge. I'm not going to name any names, but they'd have situations where people were really aggressive and really trying to, gain edges, and then also kind of like put some kind of thought that I was trying to, cheat or something like that by going below 30 cards. It's just, you know, yeah, has no business in this game. I think like people are going to play the game, play what your draw, decide the game for yourself, and not try to like piece together something in order to gain an edge against someone. I think that's just fine. So, kind of situations that kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I was playing in the tournament. Just do better and leave that stuff at home. But be mindful of that. All right. I do want to talk about send some shout outs, some thank yous to my friends for preparing me for this tournament. Tyler, aka Duke of York, my teammate there in the Boston hat, who also top cutted as well this past weekend on Two Blue. He wrote a very nice premiere guide for the team, and we got to chat a little bit, so it was great and instrumental to like get advice from him and the confidence to go into this new format. which is exciting. Great. I also love to thank Alex V, aka Seaweed, future teammate, future Boffin for sure. I just won a PQ as well, and with Sabine, and also I think it was a couple weeks ago he actually was the finalist in the first ever limited PQ in Rochester. So he is a limited guru. I got to chat with him. He also made a little premiere guide, and yeah, it was just instrumental to kind of just have these people who are really good at limited to pass on knowledge and chat about what I'm thinking to prepare. I also like to thank my other teammates too, George the Hulk, Jeff, PC, Reflex, like everyone who helped with like math and navigating the tournament, and should I draw? Should you know, ID and everything, like all that stuff helps when you're preparing for a tournament, making right decisions so that like you don't get into a situation where you make a mistake by intentionally drawing and then somehow you bubble, you don't make top cut. So it's like very important to have that math and people who are really good at that to help you. So this is the deck that I played. I was the number one seed after 7 rounds. It's Towson. She's busted. Best leader for sure. One of the best leaders in sealed. Nothing really special with the deck. I had one rare, not two rares, but it's just make the most that you can with what you have. Not a lot of turn one plays, but I did get a Towson Assassins, which is great. Protect the Pod, which I'll talk about in a sec. And yeah, just I got It's Worse, which is it's fine. But I think like yeah, you just make the most of it, and I think it's one of the most important things is like knowing your role and knowing like the leaders that you're playing against and making the best out of the board and the situations, taking initiative, all that stuff. So it really helps to like get that practice in and try to make the best build that you can with a pool that you have. So some really like tips for sealed here is just make sure like to choose the leader and aspect combo that gives you more turn one plays. I think it's very, very, very important to start with your unit on turn one. And let's say maybe your leader's busted, but another leader who might not be so great but gives you the most turn one abilities. I would say lean towards that way. It's better not to get behind because this format can snowball very quickly. Second thing I want to talk about is initiative matters a lot in this format. A lot of the plays that I made all had to do with initiative. It's just very important to have that force if you're using that, but also combat math really helps a lot when you go first. And then you can do a lot with a little. That's a quote from Alex, and it's true. I think you don't have to open up legendaries. I actually in the tournament faced a lot. I faced Bendu. Someone played a Bendu against me. Someone played Yoda, a legendary unit against me. A lot of like really OP bombs, but still navigated through that. So just trust your instincts and make the best build that you can in the synergy that you have. Favorite leaders in limited, Busted, Mother Talzin, and then Snoke. It's just these two are things that I hope to open if you're lucky enough to have it. And try to force it if you can. But I think there are other great leaders out there, but these are the two that I gravitate. Not shocking because I love villainy leaders. Favorite commons? I want to talk about Curious Flock. It's a filler card, but hey, sometimes you have a lot of mana. You want to sink it into something. You got a neutral card there. Make this a 7/7, which is Sorceress Blast, another great removal card. Use the forest. If you do, deal 3 damage to a unit. Cheap, effective removal. Great card. We'll love to see more of that. And just a little shout out to FFG. I hope one day you make a card like this that costs 1 and it's aggression that says you may deal 3 damage to a base or a unit for 1. So one day we can see that. All right. Hey man, I just want to talk about Protect the Pod. My God, Protect the Pod is, yeah, one of my favorite cards. It is essentially a rival's fall. I will play this out of aspect. I did play this out of aspect. I played it for 6. I think it's just an amazing card. This is a card that you should play for sure out of aspect. that's why initiative matters. There's so many situations where I got to flip first on my leader, and then I had protect the pod ready, and then they would deploy their leader and essentially just one shot their leader with this because Townsend has 7 health, and all the leaders you can take down right away, except for like if they top out with a shield. But you get the point. That it's just an amazing card, and so very very good card if you have it. Play it. Favorite uncommons in sealed. His has been great. 4/6 great stats on a 5 cost, but like initiative matters where there are situations where you can maneuver the board to have that initiative, and that ping really matters to kind of clear the board or put the damage that you need on the Townsend flip to take down a unit. Chirrut, enough said. Just an amazing card. And yeah, just a really big wall. And then Priestess of the Forest, my goodness. Favorite card. Won so many games off the back of this, either by protecting my units or putting shields on my units so that I can make effective trades and not lose my guys. Yeah, big threat. Won me the games many, many times. I think the tournament, there was at least 3 or 4 games where I actually had 5 units out and I had put on all of them. It was this game over. I eventually lost in the top cut. I want to say something about like drafting and just really quick that this draft, it really depends on your leaders that you open up. My draft was streamed, so I'll put that link below. Shout out to Loopy from Late Night Gaming for coming up to the store and streaming. I drafted with what I had. I drafted the leader that I could. There was at least 4 Grand Inquisitors opened. I opened terrible leaders, and Ahsoka was the only one that really, and Grand Inquisitor were the only ones that I could play, honestly. And there's only, I think it was one leader that opened a green, which was Micah here with Snoke. And the rest of the people just had different leaders that I just had no the colors for. So I knew that we were never going to intersect, except for my person who was sitting across from me in the stream, who ended up drafting Grand Inquisitor. So he was going to end up cutting me off for yellow. And villainy. So it was just tough I just drafted what I could. I rewatched my draft and I wouldn't do anything different at all. I just drafted what I could, and it seemed also that like because there was only one leader that was green, like all the green cards went to Micah, and like he had an insane deck. My match was streamed; it wasn't close. All my cards came like a turn late, so kudos to him. So congrats to you, man. You played fantastic. I even said to you after we played, I said, you're gonna win this thing. You're gonna take this down. Deck is insane. You're playing great. So I've played him before in a PQ, beat him there in Appleton. So he got me back. So we're tied 1-1. But kudos to him and Late Night Gaming. They have they always come out and represent the Midwest and other tournaments. So kudos to you. Congrats, and I'll see you again in the tournament in the future. All right, so drafting. Please don't forget, go to locals, get practice. I think a lot of people forget. They say, have people comment and say, drafting don't happen if I make top cut. But I mean, this is an important skill to have because you're going to need it. I actually never drafted. This was my first time drafting in Star Wars Unlimited. Draft set 1, 2, 3, 4, but nothing. I just don't have time to go on Thursdays to locals to do it. But I've had practice drafting in other games, so it wasn't new to me. And of course, everybody knows me from my cube, so that's kind of where I have my practice with limited, which is deck construction, knowing how to evaluate cards, and drafting. So all that stuff really did help me, but I definitely want to get more practice. And I would say if you have that problem too, you want to get better, the only way to do that is to get like reps. So go to your local support and play. All right. Well, last thing I want to cover is just say is like limited sectors coming up. It was announced that would be the Philadelphia one, October 11 and 12. I hope these little tips helped a little bit with how it's going to go with sectors. I'm really excited for this. So I hope that a lot of people come out. It's going to be a great time. It's a great format. So I'm looking forward to it. I think I want to also say in the future I will be doing some videos. With my pricing, I got a box of Wizards of the Force. So I'm just going to do some seal preparation and just open up some packs, evaluate cards, make a deck out of it, and just like my thinking, my process. So I think that'd be a fun video to make in the future. But I hope you guys consider coming out, and I think it's going to be such a great time. I've never been to Philadelphia; it's on my list. So if any of you are from there and have any recommendations on food, please comment below. So thanks for watching, subscribe, and like. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys next time.